Hey friends, this is Sean Washburn from YourExcelTutor.com, and you're watching 30 Tips in 30 Days. And today on day 9, we're going to talk about naming cells. And this might be one that you've never heard of before because you didn't know it was something that was a thing. But if you click on any cell, you might have noticed there's this little box up here. It's the name box as that pops up there. And usually it just says, it's like you're playing Battleship. G5, hit. But you maybe never thought that could be anything different than what it is. But it does have some options, and if you click here, there's nothing in here by default. But you have some things you can do naming the cell. So one thing I can do is I could actually highlight this whole table. So maybe I could just go like this, and I could call this, maybe we'll call it table data. So all I did was I highlighted. Then I went up here while I was highlighted, I clicked in here, I hit enter, and now if I click in one of these cells, they still show up like they were, but now if I click this drop down, I can select table data, and it's going to select the whole thing. And what's nice about that is it will, I can use it in formula, so I could use, we'll get into formulas maybe later, VLOOKUP and things, but if you are someone who uses the formula called VLOOKUP, and you want to refer to a table, now you just have to refer to table data instead of going and picking that table every time and the range and everything. So it just makes it simpler if you're working with stuff like that. Plus, I'll scroll way down here. If I'm deep into some file, I can come up here, hit table data, and it's going to take me right to it. So it saves you some scrolling and stuff too. Another thing that's nice is you can name these cells. So like date, you can call this date val for value, so date value. Here maybe operator, so upper val, and then shift, so you've got shift over here, so shift val, and then those show up in here, so you see them all on your list. You can click on one, and you can go straight to it. You can use that in a formula, and then also it comes into play, and I've done this, is using it in macros. So if you ever get into Visual Basic or macros, and I'm not sure if we'll touch on that in the tips, but I use that a lot for the work I do, is when you name a cell, the macro can find it wherever it is. So even if I take this cell and I move it down to here, if I just had a formula or a macro that was looking for cell I1 and I just moved it, it doesn't know that I moved it. But if I'm looking for shift value, the name of the cell, then I can move it anywhere I want and I can find it. Plus these can tie into, this is higher level stuff, but these can tie into properties that exist within the file. And then if you have a database system that ties into these files, it can pull information out. So if I change this date to 8/13, then if this date val is tied to a property, there's this database that can pull that information out because it's looking for that specific cell. So just some things maybe you may not even have a need for it, but just to know that it's there. And like I say, the drop down is here. Another way to get to it is you go to formulas, and there's a thing called a name manager. If you click there, you'll see all the ones that you just made. You can make a new one from here if you want. You can delete ones that you have. It kind of gives you some different stuff, the current value, where it's tied into, what cell it's tied into. You can click on one of these and do more stuff with it. So that's just an overview of naming cells, and again, might be something you never used, but if you ever think that might be helpful, it's something that's great to know is there, and you can take use of it. So thanks, and hope you'll check in tomorrow for another great video.